potential of Ukraine remains enormous, both natural and the quality of human capital. Fantastic. We are exceptionally talented people and very well educated. However, the current state of Ukraine is extremely poor, politically, economically, socially, environmentally, or ecologically. Everything has to change in Ukraine. We have the capacity to do it. The question is, how? Of course, the Party of Regions could not do it. That was not their purpose in being in government. The parties that were in opposition were not able to do it either. Who will do it? It will be the young generation. It will be you, essentially. It's people between, say, 20 and 35 years of age who have not been perverted by the heritage of the Soviet experience, or not even by bad governance in Ukraine. Now, how will they do it? They'll be forming groups of 7 people with different knowledge, specialities, or intense interest in politics, economics, social field, ecology, maybe cultural and anthropology. They'll study 5 + 1, 6, let me say, effective countries. There are very few effective countries in the world. These effective countries have 4 characteristics: full political freedoms, certain level of economic well-being for the whole population. They can be rich but not poor. Thirdly, social justice, education, health, care, pensions. Fourthly, symbiosis with the biosphere, and not exploitation, ruination, pollution. 4 characteristics. Now, these people choose one of the countries that are dustly. I'll name the countries. It's Norway, Sweden, Austria, Germany, Poland, and of course, Switzerland. Now, they have these characteristics, Poland almost. Now, what do they do? How do they proceed? Well, first, they study by internet for all the facts. What is the constitution? What is the judicial system, structure of the parliament, etc. Secondly, they have a good meeting with the ambassador of their chosen countries. They choose which country they want to study, every group. Then they establish a program for a study trip to the country concerned. With whom do they want to meet, from what ministry, on what day, even what hour. They contact directly and they make up their program themselves. Then, actually, they even make a budget of what it will cost to go, say, to Norway for 7 days, for all these visits, stay. And the foundation, which I created, actually pay for the costs. Now, they have to go because knowing the facts is not enough to really understand the country. You have to feel the country to understand the country. You have to feel how they relate with each other, how they relate even with this group, for example, how business and unions are relating with each other, and all these things. You have to feel, and that's why they go there. Now, when they come back, they write articles, or they give seminars, they give interviews to spread the information to the society that something of the sort, the transformation, is being prepared. Now, after that, these groups, in again, hopefully 7 or 6 or whatever, will go for elections next year in local, city, oblast councils, by group, not individually. This will be their political apprenticeship on how really to do. After a number of years, these people actually will create a new political philosophy. There is none in the world now. Just to say democracy and free market is not enough of an ideology or philosophy. They will create certain ideology, programs of action, they will create either, say, three parties: socialist, centrist, and the rightist, or liberal, they tend to call them. Now, they'll go for elections to the parliament when they'll be next due. By that time, there will be several hundred of these people, and they'll go there and either say with one party of wide spectrum, with the socialists, centrists, etc., in that same party. It's possible. That's how it functions in Switzerland, in the government, for example. But they may not be the majority even in that new parliament, but they will be ideological, they'll be programmatic, there will be moral majority. So whatever they will propose, it'll be adopted as laws, and that's when actually on that basis the transformation will start. It'll take, from now, maybe 10, maximum 12 years, when Ukraine will become, as these effective countries are, that is, with the four characteristics I mentioned before: total political freedoms, secondly, reasonable level of economic well-being for the whole population, thirdly, social justice, and fourthly, symbiosis with the biosphere. Now, this was a dream, then it was a plan, now it's action. There are already over 200 people, 240 people, actually, that have finished this first phase. Right now, even today, in fact, there is, for example, a school going on for members of the association of this program, and actually how to prepare themselves for the elections that are coming next year. So this is transformation of Ukraine without revolution. The second topic that I wanted to talk about is really, say, new paradigm, or more understandably, how to change the world for the better, because much of the world is actually sick. It is not in a good shape. Yes, gross national product has increased, but the feeling of well-being, feeling of satisfaction, I would say even feeling of certain happiness, has actually degraded rather than improved. A lot of stress, a lot of pressures. Actually, there are even some suicides at work. Let's say managers, 14 managers in France Telecom last year, as an example. So this is not a very healthy world. Now, what were the root causes of the world not being healthy? Curiously enough, there is this Universal Declaration of Human Rights proclaimed by United Nations in 1948, which per se is great, but that declaration created great expectations, because who was to satisfy these human rights, to actually enable all people to actually benefit from these rights? Well, the governments. So the governments got overloaded, and because we are already then, as we are now, in a world of very harsh competition. So in any given society, even the rich ones, the more influential members, normally the richer, can ascertain that all their rights, for example, access to the best education, access to the best healthcare, etc., thereby constraining their co-citizens from actually being able to benefit from these rights. This happens within the country, it happens between countries. For example, United States, again, sells its products to poor African countries at high prices, buys from them raw materials at low prices. The countries remain extremely poor. Now, how can these countries satisfy at least the minimum vital rights and needs, such as access to fresh water, such as access to at least primary education, such as access to any kind of health care at all? They cannot, so it is not. So we are in a world in which there is win-lose, but there are more losers than there are winners. Now, what we have to do, we have to change. How can we change this? By a new paradigm with two elements in it. One, a universal declaration of human obligation, of human responsibilities. Because each one of us should not just say, well, the government has to do everything for us. Each one of us should feel a certain responsibility toward myself, for example, to maintain our health in a good condition, not to burden the budget of the community or whatever, to the family, to the region in which we live, to the country, to the environment, but even to this globalized world, to different civilizations, etc. Now, I have prepared, as member of the board of trustees of the World Economy, of the World Academy of Art and Science. It's a more potent body than the Club of Rome. Well, I'm a member of that too, but that's irrelevant. I've proposed and prepared a proposed set of declarations of human responsibilities. Now, the response to it overwhelmingly positive, because people began to feel, as we felt in Ukraine, and this is where Ukraine comes into it very strongly, that, well, we are responsible for something, and it is not everything up to the government to do. For example, during Maidan, medical service was created, religious service was created, psychological service was created, educational service was created. Now, people just decided that, well, you know, there is a need, and it is up to us to serve that need without waiting for an order or for a budget from the government. So we, in that sense, because also we have gone through this transformation for being now a multi-ethnic political nation, patriots of the country, regardless of the ethnic origin, religion, or the language that you speak. So we actually have already demonstrated the thing that, yes, we take on the responsibilities on us, like the volunteers now do in Donetsk or in Luhansk, for example. It's just a continuation of that. It's a new type of system of values, new type of behavior. We are ahead of the world in this sense. Now, concretely, the two girls, 22 years of age, who are participants of this program, Молодь змінить Україну, or Young Generation Will Change Ukraine, who studied how the General Assembly's function of the United Nations. They suggested that in the Ukrainian delegation official to that assembly, there should be two young people. They're the best qualified. We got the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to accept them as full-titled members of the delegation. And when there is a discussion during the General Assembly about Millennium Goals, 215 to 225, they will come up with this proposition that, well, we ought to have an adoption by the United Nations of the Universal Declaration of Human Responsibilities. There'll be 15, but they'll cover the 30 rights that it was in the original Declaration of Human Rights. Now, these two girls will get support from other young delegates in some of these countries that I've cited before, which we are studying in depth, from which, I will repeat, we'll select components for the architecture of the new Ukraine. That is, what kind of status, political state of the country, what kind of structure of the parliament, judicial system, and everything else. So I just wanted to finish by saying we are doing something, you are doing something, the young people, about really transforming Ukraine. We have the potential for it, we should do it, you're doing it. And secondly, that somehow we have the luck or the chance, the opportunity to actually play as a country a civilizational role for the world by really changing it from the world in which win-lose and harsh competition, in which there will be cooperation and win-win. Thank you.